In one of our previous videos, we shared the most interesting predictions for the year 2024, and by the way, some of them have already started to come true. One prediction mentions that the Red Dragon will unleash a naval battle and terrify the Great Ocean. It's not hard to guess that this refers to China's attempt to capture Taiwan through military means. In this video, we will discuss what the war for Taiwan might look like if it happens. The situation is heating up. A sharp spike in China's military activity occurred after the visit to the island in August 2022 by Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives. Despite the Chinese authorities continuing to claim that the Taiwan issue should be resolved primarily through peaceful means, there are signs of preparation for a full-scale conflict involving all parties, Taiwan, China, and the USA. The preparation goes beyond weapon acquisitions and military exercises. Today, we are talking about an increase in the mobilization readiness of the economy and the entire state apparatus. If the conflict erupts, it will be sudden. After Nancy Pelosi's visit, Chinese military activities intensified in areas where they rarely operated before. For instance, in the eastern part of the Taiwan Strait, Chinese air and naval forces were seldom present. However, in just 3 months after Pelosi's visit, Chinese aircraft violated the border 564 times. This is 24 times more than from 1954 to 2022. And this activity continues to grow. Flights are conducted by large groups consisting of bombers, fighters, and reconnaissance aircraft with a full load, as if preparing for an actual strike. China also consistently conducts naval and ground force exercises in close proximity to Taiwan. The scale of this activity goes beyond regular military training. Military experts suggest that under the cover of these exercises, China could launch a sudden attack. Balance of forces. Taiwan has the advantage of defending in this war, and a defensive position is always more favorable. For the attacking side to have a chance of success, they need at least a threefold military power superiority. Taiwan's geographical location also plays in its favor. Seizing islands is always more challenging, and amphibious operations require more preparation and are inherently riskier than simple ground operations. However, Taiwan's advantages end there. In the global ranking of the strongest armies, China holds the 3rd position, while Taiwan is at 24. The Chinese army surpasses the Taiwanese army in every aspect. In terms of the active military personnel, China outnumbers Taiwan by almost 10 times, with 2 million versus 215,000. The Air Force outnumbers Taiwan's by a factor of 4, with 3,200 units compared to 750. China's navy is 8 times larger than Taiwan's. Considering that over half of Taiwan's fleet consists of small patrol boats, China's advantage becomes even more significant. In terms of long-range artillery, China surpasses Taiwan by almost 5 times, with 7,400 units against 1,500. As we can see, the Chinese army significantly outmatches the armed forces of Taiwan, and without the assistance of allies, Taiwan has very little chance. Allies. In the event of an armed conflict, the US and many NATO countries will stand by Taiwan, while Russia will side with China. It should be noted right away that neither Russia nor the US will directly participate in this war. What can China gain from Russia? China is strong enough and can manage without the help of allies, but it has one weakness. The Chinese army has not participated in real wars for a long time, lacking practical combat experience. However, Russia possesses such experience. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine is the largest armed conflict since World War II, and Russian military personnel gained phenomenal experience there. Russian instructors will likely go to China to teach their allies how to fight and win. The US and its allies can provide much more significant assistance to Taiwan. This would include a large quantity of modern weaponry, intelligence data, and satellite information on the movement of Chinese troops. However, there are nuances. The US and NATO countries have already supplied a considerable amount of weapons to Ukraine, leaving them with fewer reserves to help Taiwan. Moreover, delivering this weaponry to Taiwan will be very problematic if the Chinese fleet enforces a complete blockade. The nature of the conflict is difficult to predict. In terms of complexity, the conflict around Taiwan will surpass the Ukrainian conflict by tens of times. It will be the first major sea war since 1945. Many tactical techniques and types of naval weaponry existing today will be applied for the first time in real war conditions. The war for Taiwan will also involve ground combat. Considering the urban development and mountainous terrain in the center of the island, it will be an incredibly complex war. It will be the first war where almost all existing types of weaponry today will be used, including ballistic and hypersonic anti-ship missiles, cruise missiles, submarines, naval aviation, heavy drones of all types, and the entire range of ground equipment. It is unknown how all of this will work in the Pacific Ocean environment. The level of uncertainty is maximal, many things may not go as planned, and the outcome of the war will depend on the resources of each side and its ability to adapt. The conflict will last a significant amount of time. Based on the experience of the conflict in Ukraine, it is almost impossible to seize Taiwan quickly. A rapid capture is possible only if its political system and state management cannot withstand the shock of the war's onset and cease to function in the first days of the conflict. An amphibious landing on the island will require extensive preparation by the Chinese, suppression of air defense, destruction of the Taiwanese fleet, disabling military and civilian infrastructure, and gaining control of small islands in the Taiwan Strait. After this, the Chinese army can land on the island, where it will face Taiwanese ground forces and hundreds of thousands of reservists. China is likely to emerge victorious. In a protracted conflict, the economy and resources will be a decisive factor, as always. The USA and its allies will impose extensive sanctions against China, but it must be understood that China represents over 28% of global production. The ability to rapidly increase industrial production during a crisis was demonstrated during the COVID-19 pandemic. In the production of a key material for modern warfare, lightweight drones, China surpasses the rest of the world combined. The Chinese company DJI alone holds nearly 70% of the global market share. As for resources, China will receive guaranteed support from Russia, the world's leading producer of energy resources, food, and many other types of raw materials. Taiwan, on the other hand, faces significant challenges as a maritime blockade will severely hinder the delivery of resources by sea. The consequences of the war can be severe. China's war against Taiwan will have catastrophic consequences. The world will rapidly divide into opposing military, political, and economic blocs. Many sectors of the global economy will experience production stoppage, followed by a resumption of output at a lower technical level and much higher prices. Developed Western countries will face the challenge of reviving industry in compressed time frames. The key problem here will be a shortage of workforce. The cost of labor will skyrocket, and there will be serious competition for skilled workers and production capacities. The consequences of the war will impact the consumption standards of every household. The trend of gradually increasing the accessibility of certain goods, especially electronics, will be replaced by the opposite. And we can only hope that this does not happen. If you have your thoughts on this matter, share them in the comments.